Bill Russell couldn't score. He was a glorified role player. He only won because he played with so many Hall of Famers. How many times have we heard this nonsense from NBA fans? Because of this myth, people have convinced themselves that Bill Russell, aka Mr. 11-time champion, is overrated. Well, it's time to hear the truth, and nothing but the truth. Bill Russell was a great offensive player. Let's break this down. First off, let's establish the premise that scoring isn't the only thing to measure the value a player brings on the offensive end. Although Bill Russell wasn't a dominant scorer, he was the greatest passing big man of his era. Here's how we know this. For his 13-year career, he was the #1 passing big man a total of 8 times, and there were 4 other times where he was second behind Wilt Chamberlain. There was also 4 times where he finished in the top 10 in the league. He peaked in the 1964-65 season when he finished 5th in assists per game. What's even more impressive is that once Bob Cousy retired, Bill Russell was their unofficial floor general, and that was especially the case in the half-court setting. He was an expert at finding cutters and creating easy offense for his team. And Red Auerbach has always said that he was the initiator of their fast break. He didn't just do this with his outlet passes after grabbing the rebound, but by blocking the ball to a teammate. There were even times where he would bring the ball up the court like a point guard. Let's not forget that he was a world-class athlete that could run the floor extremely well. You can take it from this millennial, or from John Havlicek himself. This is what he wrote for his autobiography when discussing the state of the Celtics in their first season after Russell retired. Quote, "You couldn't begin to count the ways we missed him. People think about him in terms of defense and rebounding, but he had been the key to our offense. He made the best pass more than anyone I have ever played with." He continues saying, "Russell made us better offensive players. His ability as a passer, pick setter, and general surmisser of offense has always been overlooked." End of quote. Decades later, and we continue to overlook what he did on offense for the greatest dynasty in American sports history. But what about on the scoring end? How come he has never averaged over 20 points per game and he never shot over 50% from the field? Although those are legitimate gripes, we do have an answer for that, and it came from the ringmaster himself. In 2012, Bill Simmons, the founder of The Ringer, sat down with Bill Russell for an interview and documented a little bit of their conversation. He talked about his leadership tactics and what he did to make his teammates better. He mentioned that Russell believes that a basketball team only achieves its potential if everyone embraces their role. If everyone plays to their strength, then your team is better off. For example, Bob Cousy ran the break. Tom Heinsohn ran the lane and crashed the boards. Bill Sharman, Sam Jones, and John Havlicek handled the scoring. Casey Jones and Satch Sanders handled the perimeter defense, and Russell handled everything else. That's what made the Celtics so successful. So when Russell says things like, shooting is of relatively little importance in a player's overall game, is that him looking to defend his legacy? Is Russell giving us gems of knowledge? He knew that if he made a point to average a certain amount of points and to force the Celtics to revolve their offense around him, they would have never reached their full potential. It was about allowing his teammates to play out their strengths and being there to cover their weaknesses. That's what made him the ultimate leader in basketball. So when Russell would score 15 or 18 points, and the Celtics would still go on to beat their opponents by 30 points, it wasn't because they were loaded with talent. Let's get something clear here. The Celtics never had a top 3 scorer at any point in Russell's career. In fact, there were 4 seasons where they didn't even have a top 10 scorer. The secret to their success was that no one in the history of the league affected a game in a positive manner without scoring more than Bill Russell. It's why he was voted as the most valuable player by his contemporaries 5 times. It was obvious to the rest of the players that no one affected winning more for their team than Russell did. And that's all that he cared about. Scoring meant nothing to him as long as his team ended up with a W. That was always his philosophy. His low scoring numbers were more of a choice than a lack of ability. But when he needed to score, he proved multiple times that he could in the biggest moments. For example, There were 7 times when he averaged over 20 points in a playoff series. 3 of those times came in the finals. In the 1962 finals against the Lakers, he averaged 22.9 points on 54% shooting, 27 rebounds, and 5.7 assists for the series. And on the 7th game, he goes for 30 points and 40 rebounds. Then in the 1966 finals, the series goes to 7 games again, and Russell had the best series of his career. He averaged 23.6 points on 54% shooting, 24.3 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. And if you want efficiency, then we have the 1965 finals when he averaged 17.5 points on 70% shooting. In Game 2, Mr. Russell goes for 23 points on 10 of 11 shooting, 25 rebounds, and 10 assists. Oh, and he played all 48 minutes. Does that seriously sound like a bad offensive player to you? But if his career 44% field goal average is that big of a problem for you, then we need to clarify something here. During this era, teams were not looking to shoot the ball efficiently. It was all about scoring the ball as fast as humanly possible. Let me give you an example. In the 1959-60 season, the Celtics averaged 136.3 possessions per 48 minutes. They played at lightning speed, which allowed them to shoot the ball nearly 120 times per game. Unsurprisingly, they only averaged 41.7% from the field. But believe it or not, that was above the league average of 41%. With that context in mind, we can say that Russell shot the ball efficiently for the style of offense that was being played at the time. In fact, he shot above the league average 9 times. There were 4 times where he finished in the top 5 in field goal percentage. He peaked in 1959 when he had the second highest field goal percentage in the NBA. I am 100% convinced that Bill Russell could have regularly averaged over 20 points for a season if that was a priority for him. But that was something that he couldn't care less about. He was the ultimate team leader. He self-sacrificed in order for his teammates to succeed. Basketball was never supposed to be an individual game, and he knew this right from the start. That's why Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, and Oscar Robertson never beat him in the playoffs. As far as Will Chamberlain, he beat him once out of 8 tries. If you want to take all their numbers, that's fine. More power to you. But I'll take all the winning that Bill Russell did. Do you agree with this take? Or how should we evaluate Russell's offensive game in the grand scheme of things? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.